sitting on a park bench, looking in the sky, where he can see the mouth stench of the range of people that walking, talking nonsense. In the park, I see a man sitting there with a newspaper in his head and hair. I think it would be time for me to tell that he'd been waiting round here for all of his life, and it took time for the soul to come. When it came, I saw the same old scene over and over again, my friend. People walking the park again, sitting on a bench, thinking about things. I think of all the people in the park, sleeping in the streets, living from their hearts. Sleeping in the streets, living's kinda hard. Sleeping in the streets, people fall apart. There's a park bench that's painted black and white, and when you sleep there, it don't get wet when you wake up because the trees are withered, and so you dry in the sunlight. You sit there and you prepare to make a move, and so you go through each and every can, looking inside, trying to see something you didn't see last night. Wanna get something to eat, and you go down the street. You see some friends of yours, and then they all speak. They say, "What's happening, man? Leave the park again?" Yeah, no, it's a five thing, no, I'm saying, inshallah. But again, my friend, all they want to do is play you like you are a fool. But I know better. You're safe from school through this day, cool man. You want the skill, but I know better. Maintain play, we'll overcome. In the sun, on a bench in the park where you lay when it's dark and it's wet, 'cause it's raining on you. You've got newspapers and you'd like to go home, but you can't, 'cause you just got put out on your own. You're thinking about your kids, you're thinking about your girl, you're thinking of all the things you did. You see the children play, you hear the people barely look at you, laughing while they run away. Sleeping in the streets, living's kinda hard. Oh, yeah, people in the streets, living from their heart, yeah, to this day, every day. To this day, every day. Nothing, they frontin', and the people don't stand it all. That those people are something, and yeah. Earth, perch on your double time, and yet they search for drums and pure dreams. Similarly, so bad I can't buy my soul. Won't sell my soul to the devil, and another level, never with another real trouble. Oh no, I never see them go down. My people can't go down, no. I never see them go down. Yeah, 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 yeah. Every day.
let's talk about your second song. So for a background, I asked the second song would be answering the question paano naman, and this can mean anything. It's broad enough to mean anything about creative process, craft, or songwriting, or anything technical if you want to. So tell us. You played Park Bench People, a song you arranged.
That song, I actually started playing that song when I started out, like back in 2014. I listened to the Jose James version first, and then I listened to the original by Freestyle Fellowship, and I loved how it highlighted the lives of people that we don't often think about, or like the marginalized people, the people like sleeping on a park bench, and so I've always resonated with that song, and I think the arrangement has evolved over time, and like it's almost like it's like a rap, right? So like also like the way that I make it my own has been just like really understanding what am I talking about, what is the story behind this. Paano, I guess like talks about like the process of how a song comes to be, and it's not a song that I wrote, but it feels like when I speak it, like I feel like I really resonate with it. And I guess that's the power of art and music, right? When we hear or see something that someone else wrote from their own experiences, but somehow we feel so deeply connected to it, and it almost is like your own,
Yeah, I think that's kind of related to another question I wanted to ask related to Paano, which is about finding your voice. And there's this Miles Davis quote that I love where he says, it takes a long time to sound like yourself,
Yeah.
And a voice is such a, I guess, elusive thing for a lot of creatives. And it takes years. It takes you a lot of time to sift through influences and kind of find yourself in all aspects, in filmmaking, photography, and maybe all the more music now. So how have you been able to kind of, parse through those influences and, find original ways to attack an arrangement?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I think every artist goes through a phase where, when they study the craft, they're studying other artists. It's like you're copying, you're transcribing, you're imitating, and that's how we learn. And it's the same thing with like language. Like if we're studying a language, we learn the vocabulary, the words, the grammar, and once you get that, then you know what to say. And so I feel like that's been the learning process. It's just like looking at what's around me, what has already been done, what has already been said, and then also connecting to my own personal experience that's unique to me and drawing from that. I think that's been like the evolution of feeling more comfortable with who I am and not trying to copy, being comfortable with my life experiences, embracing everything that makes me who I am. And my art and my music draws from that place. And I think that's part of like, I guess, maturing. It's part of healing. It's part of just being comfortable in one's own body, and being fully present in one's body. That's been the process. It's honestly like really a personal process. Like I don't think you can extricate art or music from life, because that's where we draw it from. And so it's just to remind myself like to live fully.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, when you said being present, that's something that definitely stood out to me when you did your performance earlier, and even when I watched you last week in Tago. And there's just this feeling of playfulness and fun that you bring to not only the genre, but just like the live experience of watching your show. And I wanted to ask you, when I saw you did the first set, you did your songs, and then you opened it up for like an open jam. And then you're playing around with rhythms, you were on percussion, you got someone's like spoon and fork, and you're hitting the glasses to make beats.
Yeah.
It was awesome. It was such I feel like a lot of Filipinos should experience jazz that way, and like I think you're kind of at the forefront of bringing that kind of experience now. But the word that kind of stood out to me was play. You know, you felt really playful, no, when you were doing the your show. So I'm curious about your where playfulness comes into your music.
That's a great question. And I'm glad that that's the energy that is perceived, because play is powerful. I think it has a lot to do with freedom, liberation. And I am very aware of the ways in which I myself have had to kind of break out of the things that repressed that energy. And something about the world, society, somehow we become conditioned to repress that. And we're trained to like have this sense of like that's wrong. Like you should behave, you should be ordered, you know, there's like this discomfort with chaos. We judge it as negative. I think it's connected to this idea of like we judge too quickly what's negative and positive, dark and light, and so for me, play is an intentional act of almost like joyous revolution. Like, I know that there are horrible things happening. I know that people are going through stuff. I experience that. And so by choosing joy and choosing to experience life from that lens, it is opposing those powers that repress us. And it's actually interesting to look back at how I've evolved, because I think I've always had this sense of play, but I think I've become more comfortable in showing it to people and not being afraid to be myself. When I was younger, people thought I was like older than my age, because I was just like, I felt like I had to repress certain things. And I think that's been part of the healing process, was just reconnecting to my child self, the sense of wonder, not losing sight of that, but still having clarity. It's not like naivety. It's different from just like, oh, I'm just like ignoring my problems. Right. It's like you're seeing things clearly, and you're choosing how to respond. So that part of who I am is intentional.
I love that. That definitely resonates. It's really nice to hear that you're able to kind of find that playfulness. And I just wonder, when you're talking about that, you used to play at a young age with, much older musicians. And then you had to kind of, is that where you had to feel like you had to step up and not, because you have like a band leader vibe, ever since. There's this confidence just brimming with it, what is that like? Just kind of going back to that, no, parang finding that playfulness, but also kind of being able to lead a band.
I think I have a really interesting relationship with fear. That's actually my friend. The things that I feel like afraid of, I will go there. Because I think I've just learned that once you do it enough and you go past that wall, there's always something on the other side that you learn about yourself that you can grow from. And so I think it becomes like anything, like a practice, like, oh, I already know what's possible on the other side. And so when it comes to like, being a young person, starting out in the jazz, I wasn't really thinking about my age. I think obviously that's how people perceive me. I look young, I'm a young person. But I never really made that a thing. So, and I am very blessed to have found the right people at the right time. Like, my first band literally was the people I played with on my first like jam session at Tago. We were just like, somebody saw me, like they wanted to get me for a gig. It's like, oh, well, I don't have a band. It's like, oh, we'll be your band. They were the ones who said, oh, we'll name it Jireh Calo Project. It's like, why is this my name? It's like, what? So things just happened organically. And I was just really blessed to find people who were willing to go with me there. I feel like when you play with people, it's almost like you're riding a wave. Are people going to go with you or not? And you have to like trust each other. And I am grateful that they trusted me, even though they had way more experience than me at that time. And, they were older than me. I'm grateful for that. I know that isn't always the case where there's like a seniority complex or this elitism, or I think that can hinder a lot of growth, because I think we can learn a lot from each other. But yeah, that wasn't my experience. And so I think I'm lucky in that regard that I had a band they let me be the boss.
Let's touch upon collaboration in jazz a bit.
See Glenn. Glenn knows. Yeah.
Speaking of Glenn, let's get Glenn in here. No, I was kidding. But yeah, I did want to ask you, like, because for jazz, it's like you guys are going into the unknown with your bandmates, so there has to be that trust.
Yes.
And earlier, we played the set with Glenn, your bassist from way back, and then Jaques, who did you just meet Jaques this trip?
I just met Jaques this trip. Yeah,
that's crazy. It sounds like you guys have been playing forever.
I know, right? I mean, he's done the work. He's done his homework. He's ready. He's ready to fly.
Yeah, can you talk to us a little about that? Because there's collaboration in different art forms all the time, like in filmmaking too. There's that level of trust, but I don't know, like, what do you kind of look for, vibe out, what you try to get to when you're working with musicians?
I think it starts with non-judgment, because you never know until you try, right? So when I meet people, my default is to trust. And again, it's an act of intentionally being like, yeah, I know there's a lot of possibilities now, baka whatever, but like I choose to trust first, because I think that there you can that when you meet someone and you trust them, that in itself already creates the dynamic that you want to see. So I really believe in that, and I like to be open to possibilities. And the same, it applies to like relationships and people I meet. I will never know until I just take the time to get to know them. And when it comes to like music and jamming, like that's the exciting part for me. Like I love meeting new people. I love playing with different people. I love the diversity of voices and like how a song can sound different based on who's playing. And that human element is what excites me, because it's literally like we're talking through music. I think of music like a language. We were rehearsing for the first time, and they were like going through the form, and we were like soloing. I was like, I don't think about it just like as a form, like that's on paper. Like we're having a conversation. Let's talk. So it's not detaching from the human element. And so when I'm playing with musicians, I don't just see them as musicians. I see them as people. They got a life going on. And back to Sanders, like they got their own complex lives, and it's a beautiful way to connect. That's my favorite part of music. It's just it's a way in which we can connect.
Awesome. Well said. And I think that shows in the music when there's real connection going on. And there's just like this feel, like you just feel it in a different way.
Yeah, the magic.
It isn't North
No. I thought it was beautiful.